guys, I'm so excited because Matt Fraser is here, and I have to be honest with you, I've been waiting for you to be here, like more than anything. And he's got a new book that we're going to talk about. So we're going to talk about a bunch of things today, and you know about my little psychic thing, and we have a professional. So Matt, thank you for coming.
Well, listen, I'm happy to be here because normally the dead wait for me. So the fact that you were waiting for me, you know, I'm happy to see the living.
I was waiting for you. And I was telling the team, I was like, we have to get Matt in the chair. I love Matt. No, really, I love you. I love your personality.
Thank
I love
you.
everything. I loved your show. Your books are hits. This is your new book.
Yes, it is. Don't wait till you're dead.
Don't wait till you're dead.
Don't wait till you're dead.
The
Don't
accents,
wait till you're dead.
We're going to need subtitles for this podcast.
Yeah, actually, you know what? That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Between the both of us. Look at his watch. Gangster shit. So wait a minute.
Well, listen.
Don't wait till you're dead.
It's not gangster. It's Italian. All right, Italian. Very big
Well,
difference.
Gangster to me is saying it's beautiful. It's a
All right.
compliment.
Well, you know, when you're Italian, right?
You know I'm Albanian.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, my kids
I had
are half
no idea.
Italian. Yeah.
Well, now that you're Italian.
But I know everything about
If
Italians.
your kids are half Italian, then you're Italian, right? That's just how it works in our culture. But I'll tell you, Italians, we give the best jewelry because we take them off of dead people. Ask any Italian that you know. Is that not the truth?
Well, Italians are the best people. I love them. I know everything about Italians. And I love my Italian men, I could tell you that. As far as your book, when does it drop? Today?
Today.
Oh
Today is the day. Can you believe it?
You have to go get his book. I mean, I didn't even get a chance to read it. I'm lucky enough to have it, and you got to sign
You
it
have
for
the
me.
first copy. The first copy. You have the first copy. Yep.
I have to tell you something. Not because like I'm a fan of like your personality or because I know that, you know, you're a big shot. So they were like, oh, Matt might Zoom. I said, no. Matt has to be here because the energy is different and I need to meet him and hang out with him. Because I have so many questions for you. Like I know you probably do interviews all the time and they ask you, when you grew up, how did you know? And all these things that I am going to ask you. But then there's a lot of things I need help with personally for me.
Yeah.
Because I grew up, you know, I have a very spiritual family, like meaning dreams, psychic dreams is very normal in my family, you know, like very. And they're very spiritual, and I've had it since I'm little, really little. And I had all these like abilities that I really never understood. What I did understand is I was always afraid of the dark. I was always scared. And I was a tough little bastard when I was young. And because I was always scared sleeping in my mom, can I sleep with you? She would call me the toughest chicken you ever met because I won't go somewhere it was dark because I had always this bad feeling. Everything was with feeling. It didn't make sense. Why am I scared? The other kids are not scared. They'll go downstairs, they're not scared, but I would be afraid, you know, like really afraid.
Well, you know what's the best part about being a medium is this, because so many people don't talk about their experiences, right? Or they won't speak about their psychic ability or talk about, you know, times when they sensed or felt things, but it's there. And what's really cool is that when we learn from one another and we share our stories and talk about certain things, we learn more about how we tap in and tune into the other side. Like, I'll tell you that psychic children, exactly what you're describing, is the same thing that I went through when I was a kid, but also so many kids do as well, right? There's so many kids that are seeing and hearing spirit, and people don't realize that it's actually psychic ability. They don't realize that they're actually seeing someone who had died.
Wow. And because they're little, they don't know that the person is like dead. When you knew when you were really small, like you just had like a feeling, or you would talk to someone that passed away. How did you figure it out when you were young?
So I didn't. I had no idea. Like, I was afraid to go to bed because I knew that the moment that I'd go to sleep, souls would show up and try to talk to me. And because they weren't souls that I recognized or that I knew, like it wasn't like my grandmother coming to visit me or my grandfather that had passed. These were souls that I had no idea who they were. I had never met them. And I knew one thing. I knew that either the house was haunted or where I was going was haunted. I didn't realize it was something with me. I didn't realize that I was the one that they were seeking out. I thought it was something with the house or where I was going.
You see how interesting that is? I'll tell you when, you know, like my aunt, she dreams too. She would tell me when I was young, you have to make sure that if you're feeling like someone's there, you feel it. Because I would tell her, I don't know why I feel like someone's here, and they're not. So she would say out loud, I don't want to see you. I'm not even kidding. She said, say that out loud, because the one moment that you see someone or you welcome, she's like, that might be the moment it always happens. And I know people don't want to talk about it because they probably feel like they look crazy, but it is real.
Well, it depends. It depends on also, like you said, like talk about, like tell them not to show up or that you don't want to see them, right? But it all depends on, what you're feeling, right? If you're feeling a negative soul or an evil soul, yeah, you don't want to see them, right?
Right, if it's your grandma.
If it's your grandmother, and that's the difference between ghosts and spirits, right? There's a difference, is that spirits are someone that you recognize. For example, your grandmother that had passed, your mom that had passed, your dad that had passed, right? Those are spirits. But what people don't realize is that ghosts are just people like me and you who had passed away. And when people sense a soul that they don't recognize, that's someone they're like, oh my God, my house is haunted, or oh my God, it's a ghost, when really what it could be is just a passing soul. And if you're super sensitive to that, if you're super sensitive to sensing and feeling, energies of people that are going, yeah. And that's how it starts. Like every medium connects with one way, and that's through their feelings. Like they get in these intense feelings that they're not alone in the room, that someone else is there. And then that is also a bridge to communication and to figuring out who is there. So one of the first things that I tell people, like when they're sensing and feeling that, is just the opposite. Talk to that soul. Say, okay, who is it? Grandma, is that you? Mom, is that you? Dad, is that you? Because when you start to have those conversations out loud, you invite that soul in.
Right. Well, I will tell you, I went into, when we were looking for a home, right? We went into the house, me and Lee, the lady was showing, the realtor was showing us the house. The moment we walked in, and Lee would call me the charmed one, me and my daughters, because of my dreams, and my dreams are like legit. I don't see dead people, but I dream exactly what's said, done, everything, like complete psychic. It's gonna happen. I could fucking wake up and tell you X, Y, and Z is happening, and it happens to the T. And Lee knew because I told him who was gonna be the rat in his life, to put him in jail. When I woke up, I told him exactly what was gonna happen with him and his friends. It happened. I mean, word for word, to the point where he was creeped out by me. He was like, holy shit. But I told him I just have a gift of dreaming. That's my gift. That's it. I can dream. It sucks. I mean, they call it a gift, but it's always forewarning me of negative. It's not like, people are like, oh, that's great. But sometimes they'll give positive. I'll be happy. I'll wake up and I'll tell my kids, oh, something good's going to happen. I don't know what, but I know because I had a dream. And, normal, I'm not saying normal, but people that are not spiritual, they're like, what the fuck is she talking about? But then my friends will be like, yo, she knows what the fuck she's talking about. Because I would so we were house shopping. We walk in a house. As soon as we walk inside, as soon as I walked in, I stood behind him. I was like, oh my God, I want to get the fuck out of here. Let's get out of here. We're definitely not buying this house. And he's like, Jesus. He goes to me, please act normal in front of this lady. I'm hiding behind his back. He's a big guy. And I'm like, Lee, I don't want to be here. He's like, I said, I don't want to be here. Oh my God. And he's going, don't act fucking crazy. He's like, yeah, we'll check out the upstairs. We're walking up the stairs. I'm not kidding. All I felt was all over me, like so negative, like as if someone's like, get the fuck out, like that. Mm-hmm. So I was really uncomfortable, and I don't want to act like weird in front of the realtor. So he's at least going, just act normal. He's like, yeah, we're looking around and whatever, and I'm hiding in his back like a little kid, like scared again. And you're talking to someone that's been in shootouts, so I don't fear shit. So when I get scared like that, that was something I never understood. Why the fuck am I so scared?
Because you can't control it.
Exactly.
And you can't kick their ass. You know what it is?
Exactly.
I know what it is.
Oh my God, it's terrifying.
Because you know what? I read for so many people, and like that always happens with the men. Like men get so petrified because they're like, listen, if they were on this side of life, like I'd be able to take a swing at them, right? But the fact that they're on the other side of life, like I can't do anything. Yeah.
So we're now I'm walking around and I'm like, please, I want to get the fuck out. And he goes, all right, we'll make it quick. So he goes, oh, I don't think I'm interested. Now the woman that owned the house walks in, and she's like, hi, how are you? And I was like, good. I said, all these pictures, I said, they were all like police officer, firemen, or whatever. And she just looked at me and she said, those are all my sons that I lost on 9/11. She goes, they passed away. And I was like, I got emotional. I'm a very emotional type person. I cry like it's nobody's business. And I, felt really sad. She goes, he passed away. And she showed me, she went through a lot losing her kids. And, I got emotional and I looked at Lee and I said, do you really have to sell this house? Because I didn't want to tell her, don't sell it. Mm-hmm. Just stay. Because they don't want anybody here. They want, you know what I mean? Maybe it would change, but I knew but as soon as she said he passed away, and she was just saying, Lee looked at me and he was like, holy shit. Like, he was like blown away. And when we left, I wasn't scared anymore. I was sad. Like, I felt sorry for her. But then.
Well, let me ask you a question. Were you relieved when you found out? Yes. Like, in other words, it was a relief when you found, when you were validated and she said, hey,
yes.
You know, this is, my sons had passed. And you know what? You were probably feeling all of the grief and all the pain that was in that house.
I was, as soon as I walked in. And Lee was like, when we got in the car, he's like, man, you just don't, you know, it's really crazy. He used to call me Glinda, the Good Witch, from The Wizard of Oz. But I honestly would, as a child, I never understood. Like, when I would watch your show, and I love your show, I love your family, I love everything about you, I was like, oh, I want to ask Matt, like, how, I know people usually interview you, but for me, if I go see a psychic, how do I ask them questions like, oh, why did this happen to me? Or why did that happen for me? Or, like, like I said, I don't see dead people, but how is it possible for me to dream something and the exact thing happens? How, I mean, you probably can't explain that,
Oh,
right?
no, I can explain it.
Oh, I need to know the explanation to this. Like, I need this in my life. Like, how?
Well, yeah, that's why I'm here with you, right?
I know.
So the thing is this, we're all psychic through our dreams for one reason, and that is because when you go to sleep, your mind becomes a conference room, right? Think about it this way. Your body goes to sleep, your mind opens up, your mind is energy. And thoughts can actually be measured. So if you look at the scientific approach, right, when we're sleeping, right, there's a million thoughts that are going through our head being stored away. All the energy of the day is being stored away. Well, spirit is energy. So when spirits pass away, we leave our body here, we become energy, and we enter the other side. And the same way that spirits can manipulate lights and make lights flicker and different things, they can also come into our dreams and visit us and deliver messages to our dreams. So now some people don't remember their dreams, right?
Right.
But it doesn't mean that souls aren't visiting them. And if you're highly sensitive and you're highly intuitive, then you'll pick up on those visions and those different, you know, messages that you got the night before.
Well, I will tell you something.
And wait a minute, let me tell you this. That's how all mediums connect. Because people ask me all the time, like, how do you do what you do? And it's literally dreaming while you're awake. Psychics and mediums tap into that same space that you're tapping into when you're dreaming. So that same space that you're entering into when you're dreaming and you're getting those visions and those forewarnings, psychics and mediums are doing that same thing. The only difference is they're awake in doing it. It's a different part of your brain.
I saw they actually tested, I don't know who the psychic was, but they did testing. And what you're saying is actually what the doctor said. He goes, look at this. It's like he's sleeping, like like his brain is sleeping, but he's awake.
Yeah, that's how it works.
He took the test and that's how he looked at it. And I was like, that's crazy. So like if you know someone's in the room and you just know from the energy, you don't specifically see them, you just feel it, or
exactly.
they talk.
And you feel it, and then you go to connect with that soul. Like, that's what's so beautiful. So when you feel it, you go to connect, and then, you know, it all starts with a conversation, right? So essentially what you're doing is you're having a conversation with that soul on the other side.
Wow.
But you can do this too. Like, anybody can do it. Like I tell people, when you sense something, when you feel something, even like people write to me all the time, they're like, Matt, how do I know a sign is real, right? Because signs are a language that our loved ones use to reach us. And people are like, how do I know it was really a sign? Well, if you don't know, have that conversation. Be like, Grandma, was that really you who just sent me that cardinal? Or Dad, was that really you who just sent me that butterfly? And then, you know, when you start having conversations with the souls, what you're actually doing is you're forming that back and forth communication. You're talking to them, and then they'll also find a way to respond back to you.
Well, I don't remember who told me this, but in my family, again, because they dream, I just kind of got a double whammy because my father's side and my mom's side had, you know, my cousins, everybody could dream. But someone had said when you're sleeping, if you dream, let's say your grandmother, but your grandmother, because I had woken up and told my mom that I dreamt my grandfather, but I understood everything he was saying, but he wasn't talking with his mouth. And she said to me, oh, he visited you. I go, what do you mean? She goes, well, you could just think of, maybe you're thinking of your friend that passed away and you dream them is different from a visit. I said, she goes, that's what they say, but in my family. She's like, if they're like with you and just talking telepathically without needing to speak, they say that's a real visit, like they came to visit you. And when my mom was very sick, she's fine now, thank God. She had cancer. I went through a really hard time, obviously, in my life. It was the hardest time or anything I've ever been through. And I was angry because I felt like my whole life I was woken up, I was always dreaming. I was always like in a negative things or whatever. And I was angry because I was like, now I'm not dreaming. Now I want to know what's going to happen with my mother. But why am I not dreaming? And I went to bed that night and, you know, I prayed before I go to sleep. And I said out loud, I was like, now no one's going to give me a dream. I want to know if my mom's going to be okay. But I was really mad about it because she was in bad shape. That night I dreamt my grandfather. And I was, in my dream, I was really little though. So he was like in Albania, he was like in this house, like in the countryside I never saw. And I'm in the kitchen and he wasn't talking with his mouth, but I understood everything he was saying. He was just cutting me an apple or whatever. And I was so happy. I never got to meet my grandfather. He passed before I was born. And he goes like this to me. And he opens the door and he goes, look. And I look and my mom's a giant. And I was like, why is my mother so big? And he's like, because she's going to overcome her sickness. And he kissed me. And I woke up and I was like screaming to my mom. I'm like, Mom, you're going to be fine. When I tell you I legitimately knew, because I have that much of a gift with my dreams, that I was like, you're going to be fine. And she like was looking at me. I was very emotional, but from that day, I was like, my mother's not dying of cancer. My grandfather came. I literally yelled out, and he's the one that came in my dream and was like, you know what? I'll let you know how she's going to be. I was like so mad that night before I went to bed. I woke up, my whole, like everything changed. I'll never forget that moment.
But you know, it's also amazing how he showed you something symbolic too. Like he showed you that like your mom was like bigger than ever. Like in other words, like overcoming it. And you know, that's how all spirits speak to mediums as well, is like through symbols. Like there's a lot of symbolism through your dreams. So like, let's say that you didn't actually hear him in your dream. Like you didn't get any messages like verbally spoken to you. Just by him showing you that, right, you can put the pieces together and understand what he was trying to say. And that's what's so beautiful. And it also shows you two things, that souls just don't come through with negative information. They come through, now listen, a lot of times people say to me that's the same thing you were saying, that the majority of the messages are to warn you or giving you a forewarning, but they do come through at times when we need it the most to also help us as well.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times it is forewarnings, but I mean, it's good to know too. Like I've been in situations where new friends or whatever, like it's funny, I know not to you, it won't sound crazy. Some of you out there are probably like, no way. Actually, on Mob Wives, we did film because they knew, like the cast, the camera crew, they knew. They wanted it to be part of my storyline because a lot of the girls that were on the show with me, they knew. I literally, like one time I was with Karen and I said, oh, last night I had a dream so-and-so's gonna call you. And she goes, oh, I don't talk to him anymore. I said, well, he's gonna call you. I said, he's in jail, he's gonna call you. Later that day, he calls her from jail. She's like, you're a fucking witch, you know, like, she's like, that's crazy. And then like things like that would happen and they knew. So that, you know, and they were like, no, Drita's for real. Don't fucking tell me if it's something negative, you know what I mean? And then with Lee, I dreamt, when I got married, he went to jail after, I was only 3 weeks married. So people don't realize it was I just got married. But I had a dream that I was walking in a building, instead of walking in a church or walking in somewhere I'm getting married, a hall, I had a dream that said federal, it was a federal building.
No.
And I have a wedding dress on, and I literally open the door and I look up, and when I read it, I was like, oh, and I just like woke up, I was sweating, and I was like, why would I dream that? Why would I dream that? God forbid that happens. And I was like, why would I dream that? And I didn't want to bring negativity. I just got married. I don't want to tell him, look what, and I just
So you didn't tell him?
I just got married. I was like, do I tell him that I'm a fucking nut, that I dream? So, you know, so I did end up telling him, I'm like, I explained to him my dream. He really didn't like, I know that he was probably like, whatever, what are dreams? And I was like, I said, you wouldn't get in trouble for anything, like with the federal, whatever. He's like, what are you talking about? I said, I don't know, it's such a fucked up dream. He's like, it's a fucking dream. I was like, yeah. He goes, I don't dream. I said, everyone dreams. You just don't remember. And then I dreamt this is bad. This is when I dreamt the federal building, and then 3 days later, because before I went to bed, I said, please, God, don't let anything go wrong. I was so happy. I just found out I was pregnant. I was just very happy. I was in love. We just built a house. Everything was perfect. I go to sleep, and I have a dream. And in my dream, when it's very like a psychic situation that's going to like happen, I'm invisible. I could literally be screaming at you. Don't talk to him. He's going to kill you. You can't hear me. Mm-hmm. It's horrible. And I dreamt I was in front of my house, and I see his best friend sneaking in my house. And I'm stuck in his shed. I'm watching him. And I see him pull a wire, just like this, the microphone. He's pulling the wire out of him. His best friend. And I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? I'm trying to get out of the shed, and I'm screaming, what the fuck are you doing? And I see him looking around, sneak in my house. And then I was like, oh my God. Is his fucking best friend like wired? Is he like a rat? Like I couldn't wrap my head around it. And I woke up sweating again. And then I asked him, I didn't say I dreamt that. It was his best friend. I was like, hey, and that conversation went left. He was like, don't even, that would never happen. That's my best friend. Well, you know, he didn't say that's my best friend. He's like, but that's my boy, whatever. Mm-hmm. Don't even go down that road. Long story short, I guess also telling him it put a boo-boo in his head. He probably was like, I mean, you tell someone something, it's that. Mm-hmm. But long story short, it was him. It was him. He was wired. Everything and anything that I dreamt happened. And that was after that. He was like, whoa, this fucking girl. Like, and like I would wake up and tell him, don't go or don't do something or don't talk to this person. And he would never fucking question me after those two incidents. And then someone came to the house to just see how he was doing. When I had a hard time. He was gone 6.5 years, no bail, nothing. I was alone, single mom. And someone came to the house to see how he was doing. Soon as he knocked on the door, I opened the door. My whole fucking body was fear was like embedded in me. And believe me, if you really know how the fuck I roll, for me to be scared is crazy. So my aunt told me, you know, like animals have instincts.
Oh, yeah.
She goes, we're no different. And if you feel someone, you're fearing them, and you're tough. Follow that feeling. Do not fuck with them. Stay away. You know what I mean? I felt so uncomfortable and horrid with this guy. And he's like, oh, I just want to know how Lee's doing, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, he's fine. No, I want to give a gift for you. I said, I'm good. I was so like, you know when you can't even look at someone in the face? I can't explain. I couldn't look at him. And I was just looking at the floor. I was like, nah, I'm good. I just couldn't wait for him to get the fuck away from me. It wasn't a good friend of Lee's. It was someone that knew him that said they wanted to stop by. Long story short, he calls me from jail and he's like, he goes, it's really bugged out how you are. He's like, that guy that came there, he's like, holy shit, I just found out. He's like, the fucking worst. He has a bad past that no one knew about. He's like, how the fuck do you do that? I said, I don't know.
But it was also probably intensified because you were protecting your daughter too.
Oh my God, it was so intensified. Such a bad, and it's crazy because for me to be scared, like, that's weird to act scared. No one, like if he's saying hello to me, why the fuck am I scared of him? I don't want to be like, why am I afraid of this person? But I go by my feeling.
Which you should, because you know what? We all have that sixth sense, right? Just like you're saying, like with animals have a sixth sense, we have a sixth sense. And that's why you can always back things up, like back up your intuition by looking to see how your animals react to something. Like when you're sensing a spirit in the room, check to see if your dog is, running after something that's not there. See how your cat is responding if they're looking at something that's not there, right? Because animals can sense and feel things far beyond what we can. And they can even tell if someone's a good person or a bad person or not, right? It's the same thing like when you see like in the news, like there'll be this dog that was like a family dog that never bit or attacked anybody, right? And then next thing you know, somebody will break in the house and they'll go after that person. It's like, how did that dog know?
They know.
They know. They know. They can sense it.
Look at something, and even like my cousin, when he was really small, he told my aunt, she was kissing me. He goes, who? And he pointed to someone that passed away. He's like, her, because he don't know she's not alive. So these things have happened. That's why when, I was like, I loved you and I loved everything about you. And I believe because I know. When you have experiences or people that have experiences, there's no reason for them to make up a story. A little kid that age is not going to lie.
No. And you know what? You should test it too. Like, if you're having a kid who is saying that, oh, I'm sensing or feeling something, ask them, like provoke them, ask them questions, ask them, oh, well, who are you seeing? Is it a man or is it a female? What do they look like? What do they sound like? And then see if the child responds to photo albums. Like, that's one of the things that my mom did with me, is that when I was telling her that I was sensing and feeling different souls, she'd be like, oh, look at those photo albums. Does anyone look familiar to you? And, unfortunately they didn't, because for me it was souls that passed in the nearby area. But as I got older, I could start to identify certain souls that did visit me from the past.
Well, how old were you the first time it happened?
Oh my God, so it's weird how it happened with me. So it first started when my grandmother had first passed away. She passed when I want to say I was 3 years old when she had passed. And after my grandmother had passed away, I would see and sense and feel her. And it's crazy because I wasn't afraid of it. It was not a thing that made me fearful. I actually did not know she died. So my mom was, my dad was out to sea. He was in the Navy. My mom, my mom was a single mom, but she was working. So my grandmother pretty much raised me, right? I was there with her morning, noon, and night. And then I would see my mom when she'd get home from work. Well, then my grandmother died when I was 3. And, I remember everyone being sad and mourning her and being so upset. But I never was that way. I was never asking my mom, like, where's grandma? Where did grandma go? What happened to grandma? Because when no one was around, she would come and visit me. She would come and sit on the side of me and play with me when I was a little kid. And she would sit at the end of my bed and talk to me and like all of these things. And I was never fearful. I never realized that she was dead. I thought in my mind that she was just alive. It was my grandma.
Right.
And the only thing that I remember that was different with her is that there was just this white light behind her, like this big like white glow. Like almost like if somebody like were to take one of these studio lights and like put it behind me. Like that's what it was like. And then, what really made me fearful is when souls came in that I didn't know, souls that I had never met before, that I never had conversations with, souls that, obviously must have seen that I was psychic or had an ability, because souls do know, and were trying to talk to me, and I didn't know these people. And that's when I got scared and I pushed it away. But it started off as, something that was beautiful in the beginning.
But do you dream like me or no?
I don't. Because just remember that every medium is different, right? And the way we all get our information is different. So for me, the souls talk to me all day long, and I'm constantly, on tour and doing readings and whatnot. So my only time to relax is in bed when I'm sleeping.
Really?
I don't get any.
Wait, is there like a spirit in here?
There's always souls that are here.
Oh,
Absolutely.
like you just feel them.
Well, yeah. I mean, you have a shit ton of souls that are around you. A shit ton of souls that are around you.
I'm not surprised. I'm not scared, but I'm not surprised. I'm not at all. Like, I'm telling you, when I was little, I knew that. My mother was like,
most people would say, by the way, I'm afraid. Most people would be like, oh my God. Where?
No, because I felt, my whole life, I was like, and my mother's like,
but I'm going to tell you too, a lot of these souls like are people that like, I feel like you wouldn't think about are around you. Like I see like there's certain souls that are connected to you because they're showing me that you've always been like the search and rescue team here in this world. Like you're always like picking people up, like trying to make them better, like trying to rescue them. Like that's just who you are. And I see like you trying to make people's lives better, like trying to get them to pick up and like change themselves.
And I'm growing up, I was very much like, I fought all the bullies. Like people don't understand, I had a lot of fights, but I was over a protector. The way I would like love to help people in that way, I was by nature like that.
But
So
hold on. Was there a soul that you lost of an overdose here in the physical?
my best friend,
Okay, because
I'm gonna cry.
they're here.
She was like my best friend.
She's here, and she just said to me that you thought you could have saved her. Because what's really tough is that she was one of the ones that showed me, and by the way, it wasn't just her. Like, I see, like, when people have had, like, alcohol issues, like, addiction issues, whatever it is, like, you were always there. And she says to me that you always used to tell her, like, are you good? You good? Like, you got your phone? You call me if you need me. You call me. You whatever. And she says to me that you're so upset that she died and that she didn't reach out to you for help.
It's so fucking true.
She's here. Because she was one of the ones, like I said, that you wouldn't expect to be here with you, but yet she's attached to you like a sister. And she said to me that she wants to thank you for the way that you tried to rescue her, because you have no idea how you were her lifeline. This is really tough because when I'm connecting with her, can I tell you everything?
I want you to, because you don't understand. She was like my best friend.
Oh, I know, and when I'm connected with her, she confided in you. And I'll tell you something, that on her outside doesn't match her inside. On the outside, she shows me that she was like strong and like she was confident and she was put together, but on the inside, she was so insecure. here in this world. And she had such a hard time finding love here in this world as well, she shows me. She literally is showing me that she went from relationship to relationship to relationship, and she says to me that she was in abusive relationships here in this world, and it really screwed her up from her past. She says that because she just said to me, let her know that I'm in a place where people can't lie to me anymore.
Does she know how much I miss her?
Oh, she absolutely does.
Yeah.
But what bothers me so much about this too is, do you know if she was mixing prescription medication, like medication that she was prescribed?
I don't know if she was mixing, but okay, so I don't.
Here's what I see. Let me tell you, because that's what you
tell
pay me
me.
for, even though today's on me. She says to me, she tells me that her moods were up and down, up and down, up and down, like here in this world. Like she shows me she was like all over the place. And I feel like when I'm connecting that she did get diagnosed with either depression or something like that, or like some type of anxiety, because when I'm sensing her and feeling her thoughts just used to spiral.
Yeah, well, yes, that's true. But what bothers me most about the way she died was, I don't believe it had to be accidental. There's no way. I don't know if
No, I know it was. I can tell you, I know it was accidental. I know when I'm speaking to her, it was accidental.
And she
But-
texted me right before, and then when I text them back, it's like she died like the exact same time, and it bothers me all the time. It always bothers me, that text message, because I didn't get to I don't know if I didn't get to text her back quick enough. I was like, I didn't know she was dead. And, you don't understand how close we were. Like, we were inseparable. And then, I ended up getting married and having a kid. And things changed, but she went through a hard time.
I'll tell you, she's like a guardian angel watching over you.
You have no idea how beautiful she was. And when you say she was insecure on the inside, yeah, but she had no business to be insecure ever.
But that's how she felt. And you know what it is, what's so beautiful is that, like, this is what's so amazing about being a medium, right? Is that when I'm connecting with her, when she was in this world, her inside didn't match her outside, right? She was so beautiful and confident and like looked so amazing on the outside. On the
So
inside, she was
beautiful.
just crumbling, but with anxiety and fear and worries and all of these things. And in the afterlife, she does look the same inside and out. And that's what
Really?
she wants you to know now. And she's watching over you because, she looked up to you. She looked up to you as a big sister. You were her family. You were her everything. So what's so beautiful is that she says to me, she's been watching over you since the day she died.
Whoa.
And you use her. Wait a minute. She's telling me you use her like she's an example for you. Like that. She tells me you're always telling her story. Like you're telling people like that you meet who are like having issues with like addictions and things like that. Like I like my best friend this way. Like you need to stop. You need to stop doing this. Like you have these private conversations. She tells me.
I do that. Like every time, because people would say to me, I talk about her and think about her all the time, but I will tell you one crazy thing. I have a photo of
Wait a
it.
minute, hold on as well, because she won't shut up when I'm connected with her. She's also like telling me like back when you were younger with her, did you all used to like wear each other's clothes, like change clothes with each other?
We were inseparable. Like when you meet someone and then I met her, we laughed, we had a moment of laughing, and that was it. We were always together. If you saw me and she wasn't with me, it was unheard of, So we were always together. Again, our lives and our paths, took, we got older, but it was still like family.
But hold on, something's coming to me here. She's also telling me, because social talk about things that you regret or things that you're upset about, and you keep saying, like, why was no one checking on her, and why was nobody there?
It bothered me so much.
But this is weird. Wait a minute, was she found like face down?
I don't know if she was face down, but I know it was in a bathtub.
Okay, because when I'm connecting with her, I see somebody running in, and I see when I'm connecting with her that the first thing that I'm seeing is that like there was questions over if somebody else was there.
Well, what's bothering me is she was spiraling so much prior to that, and to me, I felt like when someone passes away, you always feel like what you could have, should have. And those things always bother me. The phone, the text makes me crazy because it bothers me. I said sorry to her. I was in a kitchen with all my friends. We were talking about her. The fucking table just literally went boom. And this is in front of 12 of us. And everybody just stood there frozen. I just looked. And then when I was talking about her in my kitchen, I have a photo of it. Right, a huge white, it looked like a light bulb, but floating. A light bulb in my kitchen, fucking floating right there. I took my phone.
An orb.
I
You saw an
took
orb.
It was incredible. Not like a little smoky, like a light bulb. And I looked at it, I was like, no way. And I took a picture of it, and it's so amazing. And I was like, holy crap. I was showing like everybody I know. I said, look at this picture. They're like, that was right in front of you. I said, yeah. In August, my best friend, the one who said that was here, she, like growing up, I used to tell about dreams or whatever, and she would meet a guy and be like, if you have like a dream that he's cheating or something, don't tell me, I don't want to know. And I'm like, okay, because I would go by feeling. He's a good guy, he's a bad guy. On feeling, like just feeling him out in the car, you know? But my eyelashes, like all, you had me crying. You had me crying.
Well,
No, but you're
not
incredible.
me. Listen, I don't know. I try not to make people cry.
It's hard.
Happy tears. Right?
It is happy tears. And I want you to tell me what's in this book, like what it's about.
So this is all about, believe it or not, spirit regrets from the afterlife. So when souls leave this world, they actually go through their life. So I don't know if you've heard of this. Actually, have you ever heard of the life review?
No.
Oh, then we're going to talk about this. So the life review is something that every soul goes through. Whether you're a cat, a dog, a person, a child, every soul goes through it. And basically, memories are stored in two places. They're stored here in our brain when we're here on Earth, and then they're also stored in our soul. So when we leave this world, we go through every moment of our life, from the moment that we're born to the moment that we die. We see the people that we've helped, the people that we've hurt, the people that betrayed us, the people that were lying to us, the people that were secretly rooting for us. We see the good things that we did, the bad things that we did, and we also see how our life would have been different. Like what would have happened that night if your friend didn't do what she did, right? What would have happened if we married our high school sweetheart versus our husband or our wife? What would have happened if we didn't have children? So all of that happens during our life review. And it's during that life review that we learn one thing. We learn the purpose of our life and the lessons that we were supposed to learn while we were alive. So earlier you asked me, I wonder if I can just know my purpose or know why I'm here. Well, at the end of our life, we get to talk to our spirit guide and our guardian angel and figure that out. But in the meantime, you also reflect back on your life and you realize how your life could have been different, and also you take all of those lessons that you've learned and you use it to help people here on Earth. So it's called The Life Review, and I wrote this book. Yeah, I wrote this book called.
That's really the coolest thing.
Don't Wait Till You're Dead for one reason, because it's Spirit's biggest regrets that we can use to shape our life now. For example, 100%, I can tell you that souls that pass of suicide are one of the ones who come through the most regret, because during their life review, they see, oh my God, if I stayed alive for just 3 more months, 3 more years, 1 more year, my life would have been so different. It didn't have to end this way. And today, actually, believe it or not, I was talking to Gail King, and we were having this conversation off air, and she was telling me, you have no idea, there was people that she knew that, unfortunately had tried to commit suicide and failed, thankfully. And she had told me that, when she asked them about their experience, they told her, instantly when they went to do it, they regretted it. Right at that moment. And I was like, oh my God, that's exactly, what I talk about in my book. That's what the souls have told me when they get to the other side. So what's interesting about this book is it's not just about what we can learn from them, but at the very end, this actually would be good for you. You go back through your life review at the end, especially with all your stories and all of your challenges and obstacles and everything that you went. You go through all of these, I prompt you, right, with all the questions that you're asked at the end of your life. You go back and you do it at the end of this book, and you realize what your life purpose is now and what you missed and how you could be using it to help other people.
That's what it's like?
That's what it's like.
That's incredible.
That's what it's like in
How
the end.
did you think about that? That's what it's like in the end.
Like,
what the
that's
fuck? How did you think of
I didn't think of it. They told me this.
I know, but that's awesome. That's
like,
awesome.
wait, we're
That's
going to say this for your fans, because I know you fans probably saying, do you know how many people write to me on social media, okay, especially now that we got the TikTok, okay, to go on the TikTok and they say, how do you know this? I'm like, I'm a psychic medium. My church says, yeah, but how do you know this? Because I'm the psychic medium. My church said they fucking tell me, right? They're like, yeah, but how do you know? Because I talked to people who had died and they showed me this is what happened when I died.
They
right?
just,
That's how.
It's hard. People really don't understand. You know what? I feel like if it doesn't happen to someone or they don't have the experience, they're not going to believe it. okay, so that's what you put all together. So when you read it, it's kind of like life lessons on what to do, what you don't want
Why'd
to
you say
regret
you
doing.
put it all together?
I don't
That's
know.
how
I
that's
feel
how you
like
put it
the
all
way
together. That's why
you
you wrote it?
no, no,
Oh.
meaning like you did that to help people. In a way, the way I'm looking at it, like the way you explain the book, it's kind of, I can't wait to read it, but because it's kind of like don't do things you'll regret not doing.
Right.
Right? Or if you want to say, I love you to your mom, say it. Do
You're
all
right,
these
yes.
things, just even if they're simple things.
Look for the hidden meaning.
Right.
Look for the underlying lesson. All of those things.
I love you. Thank you for coming and reading me. Like, that was awesome. And explaining to me everything helping me try and figure out how things are possible. And, I'm a believer, I live it. But I think you are amazing. MattFraser.com. Check it out.